this guy that wanted me to come have sex with his wife. They paid me so much money to do that. In California, I got picked up by a limo, taken to a nice hotel, made $300,000 in that year.
Hello, I'm Rose Patel and you're watching Fatally Honest. This is the first episode of a 7-part series discussing the life of a recently retired gigolo, porn actor, and pimp. Through this series, my guest will give his personal, in-depth account of life in the sex industry. How he became a sex worker, as well as all the crazy and terrible shit he went through. While his journey starts in America, it eventually leads him to escort internationally for some of the richest people in the world. In this episode, we'll hear his story on how it all started, his transition from a slacker to a bona fide porn actor and gigolo. Disclaimer: I do not endorse entering the sex industry under any capacity. I strongly suggest that no one attempt to copy anything they've seen or heard in my videos. Furthermore, I do not necessarily agree with any of the opinions or stories told by my guests in my videos. Hello, my name is Rose Patel and today we're being fatally honest. My special guest today is all the way from Texas, USA. He is a retired male gigolo and porn actor. Hello, glad to have you on Curiosity today. So, can you tell me your name, stage name, and how old are you?
I am currently 26 years old. My name is Joseph. And my stage name, I had a few, but the main one that I used was Justin Frost.
Justin Frost.
You could also call me Blaze or whatever.
Were those stage names your idea? If so, what was the inspiration behind them?
I thought, what's a good name? What kind of sounds like Joseph and who's popular, who's everybody likes?
Yeah.
And I thought of Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake. And I was like, you know what? I kind of look like them maybe. So
Yeah,
sure, why not? It's working for them. Maybe I'll go with it too.
I'd like to know what led you to become both a porn actor and successful gigolo. How old were you when you entered the sex industry?
When I was 18, I moved out of my house and I got a contract with this porn company. I was searching on Craigslist one day and I just got done jacking off in the shower. So I'm searching this thing and it's pay male guys for a solo video. And I'm like, $1,900 a trip to California.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty awesome. So I did one video with a company called Sean Cody, which is I think the top gay website in the world. And that was kind of my introduction to it. It was pretty cool. I showed up in California. I got picked up by a limo, taken to a nice hotel. They were whining and dining me, and just it was pretty fun. And I was this 18-year-old kid who never experienced anything, so that was kind of my first experience into it. And then I didn't really do anything for a year because they put me in a contract, and I'm not gay. I kind of wish I was. I wish I could be, because I'd be really rich if I was.
From your experience at the porn studio, men who perform in gay sex scenes, are they actually gay? Or just doing it for the money?
I had a buddy who wasn't gay, but he just did the gay for pay, which is 90% of gay porn is gay for pay. The producers and directors don't like working with gay guys. They really like just working with straight guys that want to just get in there, do their job, and leave. And that's really what it is.
That's really interesting, actually.
It really is. And some gay guys do really well at it, but most of it is straight guys, which was totally crazy to me. My scene, I just did a jack-off scene by myself. So I got paid $1,900. Just to masturbate on camera. I was like, okay, that's pretty awesome. And that's how, they paid me so much money to do that. And that's how they really get you in it. So they get you there and then you make all this money and then you got $2,000 in your hand and they're like, okay, why don't you stay and do a video and we'll pay you $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is that they're offering. But yeah, it was very hard to turn down all the money because my buddy did it and he made $300,000 in that year, the same year. And but at the same time, I didn't want to compromise what I wanted. And it wasn't really like about morals or values. It's just like, I didn't want it. I didn't want to do it. It's just not my cup of tea. And yeah. But after that, I didn't really do anything for a year. I just got a normal job as a server and just kind of didn't really do anything with my life. I think I sold weed for that year and just went downhill. And then
it sounds like you were not very ambitious at the time. What made you change that?
I was 19 years old. I wasn't really doing anything with my life, and I got a call from my father to go help him with some insurance adjusting, and we stayed out there for like a month, and then we were gonna come home. But before we did, we visited my uncle, and at my uncle's house, there was an accident. My dad passed away unexpectedly, and I kind of held my dad in my arms as he died, and it was a pretty traumatic experience. But I came home, and our family was totally shaken, and I just kind of moved out on my own. I took my last like $1,000 and rented a tiny little room in a nearby city, and I was selling weed. I was selling like an ounce of weed, but mostly smoking all of it. So just totally going nowhere but down. And it got to the point where I couldn't pay my rent. And I decided, I got to look around for a way to provide for myself. And I guess a normal job wasn't really something that I was looking for because my rent at the time was like $500, and it was like a few days until I had to pay it.
Yeah,
and
that's difficult.
I'm just like, I can't get a job.
Time.
And then so I had to figure out a way to hustle. And I had always been a hustler. I used to sell candy in high school. I if you name it, and I've done it. I painted curbs. I did it all. But
as a skilled hustler, how did you get out of the terrible state your life was in at the time?
I thought to myself, well, I can't really do porn because there's not like a ton of companies that are going to pay me that much money to do that. And I think I was like still like had a few months in my contract at that point. And I had to think of a way to hustle and get money without doing porn. So I said to myself, well, if they're paying me like $2,000 to go on camera and jack off, maybe there's a way that I could find somebody to pay me just $200 to go jack off in front of them, and it's like a live show. So I started searching online, and then I found escorts. I had no clue what an escort was, and I started reading about that, and I was like, well, that's actually not that bad. That's kind of cool.
So
and then
you were like 19 or?
I was 19 at this point, and super broke. And I remember this one day so vividly. It was totally broken, and this is like the time where I stood up and said, "No, I'm not gonna be down." But I was in my room, and my walls were like blood red, like paint. I didn't paint it that, it was somebody else did. But I looked down, and there's like a cockroach like going along the borderline of my room, and I'm like, okay, this is just not okay. I'm living in a terrible place. I am not who I want to be. I'm not getting where I want to be, and it's time to make a change. So that is the moment where I stood up and I said, I don't care what it takes, what I have to do. I will be fucking successful, and nobody will stop me. I don't care what it is. And so from that point on, I kind of just hardened myself, and I got an ad on a website called Backpage.com, which now has been shut down. But back then, that website was gold. That was an international website, totally amazing, and really saved my life countless times. But I posted an ad. I didn't really know what to expect, but I got a call from this guy that wanted me to come have sex with his wife. And I had no clue that even existed. So when I got that call, I was like, okay, I'm up for it. I'm a horny bastard anyways. So yeah, I jumped on it, and I think I had a girlfriend at the time, and I just said whatever, and I went for it. Yeah, I ended up making $300 for like the hour that I was there, and I had sex with her in front of him, which I guess like he wasn't totally expecting it, because he was like, wow, I didn't expect that. He said that at one point, so I was like, oh god, did I do something wrong?
Yeah, like what?
And it was like my first time ever, and I'm like trying to act like a pro, like, oh yeah, I do this all the time. And
Were you nervous?
it was totally, I was super nervous, super nervous. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue how the night was gonna go. I had no clue about anything. Everybody was happy at the end, and he gave me $300. And then like on my way out, the girl, she's like, hey, did you drop $100 at the door? I'm like, yeah, I did. And she's like, oh, here it is. And she gave me another 100. So I walked out of the place with like $400. And I'm like, I have no clue how that happened, but that's awesome. And then she's like, oh, and take this lemon cake. I'm like, I don't need a lemon cake. I know. I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. I'm not really into the lemon cake. She's like, no, take the lemon cake. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I will take this lemon cake. And then I get in my car and I turn over the lemon cake, and it's got her number and a note saying, please call me. Don't tell him. Here's my number.
That was a pretty shocking story. From a small-time hustler to entering the gay porn industry, as well as the start to his life as a gigolo. Watch out for the next episode as we dive into how Joe adapted to the demands of the escorting market, the compromises he had to make in order to earn serious money. If you've enjoyed listening to Joe's story, please give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and ding the bell for notifications on all my future content. It's been Fatally Honest. Ciao. Want to know more about Joe's crazy experiences within the sex industry? Many more episodes can be found in the playlist linked in the description down below.